All right, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Politics with Sherry Jacobus. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed yet, I hope you'll do so. So today, I'm recording this on Saturday evening. Today was a good day. Today was our No Kings Day, right? I love it. Um, I finally made it out. I went to the one in Washington, D.C., where I live now, and it was great. It was great. On the metro going down there, everybody's excited and talking about it. Then you get there, and it was really well organized. And I loved seeing all the people in their dinosaur suits and their frog suits and everything else. And our friend Jeffrey Grammer, he's the decorated retired Army colonel and psychiatrist. He wrote the piece in a Substack about how these costumes that are so funny are actually a brilliant way to resist, because you cannot look at this and say these people are terrorists, you know. And I like that everybody's really stepping up, posting photos on social media of their Antifa fathers and grandfathers, who were anti-fascist. That is a good thing. That is a good thing to be anti-fascist. And as I've said before, and actually I think somebody else said it, suggested it. I didn't think of this myself. But Trump and MAGA like to use the term Antifa because it sounds exotic and scary, and it rhymes with Latifa. We know what he thinks of that, and so it's little tricks that they're playing, and it's worked for a while because people got scared. Ooh, Antifa! But now it's clear that there's no organized Antifa headquarters. There's no secret handshake. We don't pay dues. We don't have we don't have a special hat like MAGA. See, MAGA's in a cult, and they just assume that everybody is like them, and they're not. And that's what the large numbers today. I've seen early numbers that say over 7 million. I think we're going to find out that it's more than that in the end. But these protests are huge, and they were peaceful. I mean, New York City had how many millions? Not one arrest, no problems, no violence. And today it was crowded and people are hot. And sometimes you get bumping in. I kept bumping into people because I was trying to take pictures. I was trying to take pictures and videos. So, I'm bumping into everybody. And everybody was great. I mean, because everybody's doing the same thing. It was peaceful. It was hopeful. But I think also somber, a little bit somber, because we understand the trouble that we're in as a nation. So it's interesting to kind of, see the mood at each one of these events as we progress through this era of Trump, which is an era of terror by him and his goons, lawlessness, breaking the Constitution, violence. We know he's a liar and a con man, and you also see the arrogance of MAGA saying, "Well, he's still your president." Like that is any kind of a response to today's protest that matters. He's not a king; he's a president. Well, he's not my president. I don't think he's a legitimate president. There are too many questions surrounding this. And history, in the fullness of time, we're going to find out that Donald Trump was never honestly and truly elected president. And we know Putin helped him. And your MAGA friends are like, but you have to prove it. Well, it has been proven, and they know it. We talk about this a lot, and I get a lot of feedback from everybody. They're like, oh, yeah, they're MAGA friends. It's like you talk to them, and they deny reality. They know he's in the Epstein files. They know what he's done. They just don't care. But again, it is sort of like they treat it like a big football team, our side, your side. And that's where they don't seem to understand that there's America's side and freedom side and democracy side. And that's our side. That's us. We are the good guys, and we know it. And we know it. And in fact, when you hear the language that MAGA uses, that this is what we voted for, get them, take those people down, they cheer Trump's violence. There's a reason why Trump's Gestapo wear masks. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know it's illegal. They know it's unconstitutional. And they know that if their identities were known, that they'd never have a peaceful day the rest of their lives. They could never show their faces in public. And as we've said before, law enforcement doesn't hide their faces. They have to wear their badges with names. You get pulled over on the highway. Somebody comes up to your window in a mask. Are you kidding me? So I'm feeling good about today's protest. I took pictures. I posted them on here on my YouTube on the posts part. I posted some pictures and a little bit of video. I found myself kind of marching. I didn't know I joined a march. I'm kind of petite, so I get squished in with the people. But I marched. I saw the Capitol because you come in from the side, and then up on the different plazas, people had buttons. And there was one woman in a wheelchair. She was 93 years old, 93 years old, and I took a picture of her. So, but I sense that people understand the seriousness of it. This wasn't a celebration. This was peaceful, and everybody was very friendly. But there was this sort of underlying, I always say, heaviness that we know that this country is in serious trouble. But I was having this conversation with a couple of people, and because everybody's there, like, yeah, I thought we'd do it, or wanted to do it, and so often people think that what they do doesn't matter. They think their vote doesn't matter. But we started talking about the thing that I've been talking to you guys about a lot, about everybody using whatever power they have. Some people have more power. The governors have more power. Use every bit of power you have. And right now, millions of people, 7 million people today, knew that they had power showing up, because the power is in the numbers. The power is in the numbers, because with Trump's approvals in the polls tanking, that means he can't really offer this protection to Republican elected officials. And it is about fear. And I think I've said this here to you guys before. I think I said it yesterday, but I had this conversation today on the subway and with others. I said it is about fear. These Republican elected officials have to fear their constituents more than they fear Trump. They have to fear us more than they fear Trump. Because when MAGA starts figuring it out, that Trump is in the Epstein files, when they start listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene, that was a subject that came up a lot today too. It's like, we can't believe we're agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, but her own son's situation with his health insurance premiums. But she started hearing from her constituents. Okay. And she probably started figuring out that she wasn't going to be protected by Trump anyway. So she has turned a little bit, because she fears her constituents more than she fears Trump. We have to spread that around. And again, it doesn't even have to happen in large numbers. Just enough for them to feel it. Just enough for these Republican members of Congress who won't go to Speaker Johnson and say, swear in the new Democrat from Arizona, release the Epstein files, and open up the government. That's what has to happen. You need to have Republican members of Congress going to Speaker Johnson with exactly that message. And they will do that when they go to, I think the small town, I'm interrupting myself here, but I think the small town rallies and protests are actually more significant than the big ones like in Washington, D.C. and New York. And the reason is because it takes a lot more for small towners to go to their town square and protest, because they really do know everybody. They know that they're going to see people who they go to church with or they work with, and they're putting it out there. You can't really be anonymous. The small towns are different like that. They tend to have to try harder to get along or whatever. So the fact that you've got these small towns, smaller communities with very robust No Kings protests is the type of thing that that I, as a political scientist, but it is the type of thing that I believe will have the impact on members of Congress, on House members, because they're going to see that and know that these really are my constituents. These aren't a million faceless people in New York, or Boston had a big turnout. These are people in my hometown, the people who I represent in my home district. So that's what I've been thinking about. It's one thing to get these huge crowds in the big cities, but when you start getting real big crowds in small towns, medium-sized towns in these communities, that's when a Republican member of Congress is going to sit up and take notice, because Trump can't protect them from that. So yeah, it matters that you show up. And I think if you think of it that way, they're paying attention. They know. I mean, you can stick a microphone in one of their faces and go, "Oh, what about the No Kings protest in your home district, Republican MAGA congressman?" And he'll say, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't see it." Nah, they know. They know. And I would venture to say that some of them had staff out there kind of keeping an eye on things, doing reconnaissance. So sometimes those of us who do what I do, or all of us, we're at our keyboard, we're on social media, we watch TV. I do these YouTube videos, and I have my podcast over on Patreon where I interview uh, newsmakers, influencers, lawmakers, candidates, reporters, all of that. Uh, but I'm sitting here doing it. It's different when you're out there with everybody else and we're all in it together. So I liked that. I liked that. And I think that if we can have these types of successful protests, we're going to keep doing them, and maybe we'll get somewhat organized. Still don't have those daily briefings, though. I talked to people about that today, too. But Chuck Schumer needs to be doing this, facilitating them. And everybody agrees. Everybody said, if we had those with the fact checking, it would make it a lot easier for us to do our part to try and, cast some doubt into the minds of our MAGA friends and families. Because and I said, think of it as creating content that all of the podcasts, all of us on our social media, we'd all be pulling snippets from those daily briefings and using them, and it would go viral. And I guarantee you that the donors, big and small, if they saw this, they'd open up their wallets, and the DNC would be flush with money, and all of our candidates would be funded. See, these things don't happen in a vacuum. It's kind of a domino effect, or maybe all the gears working together. But if the Democrats would do this, and I've laid out again, it's cheap, it's easy to do. There's no reason for them not to do it unless it's ego. But the results would be immediate, frankly. And I think it would be a game changer. In lieu of that, today was good. Today was good. And I hope it'll have some meaning.